Today, let's work on getting our Eagles offseason priorities in line. A lot of people are talking about the Eagles need to get a running back, or the Eagles need to re-sign Jalen Hurts, or the Eagles need to get defensive coordinators. That's all true. What's the actual order of needs for Philadelphia? I'll go 1 through 10, break down the most important needs, the least important need, and maybe throw in some bonus ones as well. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Friday. Hope you guys are feeling great. Thumbs up for the week being over. There's a lot of talk right now about what Philadelphia does and needs to do this offseason in order to repeat as NFC East champs, NFC champs, and possibly go back to the Super Bowl. But I think a lot of fans, especially in my comment section, have their priorities out of line. And so I'm going to give you the top 10 biggest priorities for Philadelphia going into the offseason right now and rank them from 1 all the way down to 10. Most important down to least important. And then from there, we can argue amongst ourselves in the comment section and see what I got right and what I got wrong. Number 1, this is priority number 1 as it stands today, which is February 24th, 2024. They have got to hire their offensive and defensive coordinators. It's crazy it's taking this long. Now, I've said all week, and I've said all week last week as well, they are a priority spot to be. It's not like people don't want to come to Philadelphia, but it's weird they haven't at least elevated Ryan Johnson as the offensive coordinator, at least picked a defensive coordinator. Seemingly, they wanted Vance Joseph. He's now gone to the Denver Broncos. They wanted Vic Fangio. He's now gone to the Miami Dolphins. It's just strange, though, that Philadelphia does not have their coordinators chosen. Now, you say, Thomas, they have plenty of time. Well, the NFL Scouting Combine is next week, and you would assume these coordinators are going to be at least keeping an eye, or would want them to be keeping an eye on the players at the Combine, because they're going to have heavy influence on who Philadelphia takes, especially a defensive coordinator who might get 2 first-round draft picks with Philadelphia's number 10 and number 30 overall pick in general. And so, while this might not be seemingly the most important thing to do going into the season, they need to have this done sooner rather than later. I think it's priority number 1. I'm shocked they did not finalize anything this week. Now, by the time you watch this show, maybe they have done so, but as of filming early Friday morning, February 24th, they have done absolutely nothing. All right, number 2, and this will be a giant domino that will really, I think, kickstart the rest of the rankings here. You need to sign Jalen Hurts to a long-term deal. We know they're going to do it. They've said so. They've said they wanted to get a deal done before the Scouting Combine, which, again, is next week. And so you'd assume today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, right? If that's when it's going to happen. When you restructure Jalen Hurts' deal, you not only go ahead and give the rest of the team assurance that he is your guy, even though we all already understand that, but you actually free up cap space for 2023 because you're going to take his number and extend it out over a period of time. Yes, Philly's going to give him $45+ million a year. It's going to seem like a whole lot of money, but 1, they have to do it. They have no other choice. And 2, doing it now, again, creates cap space the way you can make additional moves we're going to talk about here coming up in really 3 through 10 as we go all the way down. Number 3 is restructure the rest of the contracts. Talked about this on the show. If you have not watched my cap show, which I think I posted last week at this time, it's a really good look at what Philadelphia can do to go from about $5 million in free cap space currently to about $25 to $30 million in free cap space. They have $5 million, and again, can go all the way to $30 million. That includes restructuring Lane Johnson, obviously re-signing Jalen Hurts, restructuring Darius Slay, making a couple of cuts, including Quez Watkins. They can free up a bunch of money once they go ahead and restructure these deals. And again, as the offseason gets further and further along, as we get closer and closer to free agency, you're going to want to have that cap space the way you can not only re-sign internal people, but also go out and maybe get some people as well. So, hire an offensive defensive coordinator, sign Jalen Hurts, restructure contracts. Those are the 3 most important things Philadelphia has to do right now. I don't think I'm wrong. You guys can, debate amongst yourselves down below. I'll read every single comment, but I think that's 100% 1, 2, 3 for Philadelphia. Number 4 is get some clarity on Jason Kelce. Now, the odds are they might already have clarity on Kelce. They might just not have announced it just yet, whether he's retiring or not. And I've said before, I think Jason Kelce will come back for one final season. Had he won a Super Bowl, probably would have retired, but he's still playing at an all-pro level. He still seems to enjoy the game. Obviously, the team is stacked, and so I expect Kelce to come back. But that will make a big difference in terms of money because of the way his contract is set up. Are you going to be paying him to play in 2023, or is he going to be obviously retired and not paying him? What do you do with Cam Jurgens? There's a domino effect here of what the offensive line is going to look like and what you need to do to make it look even better. He is definitely one of the top priorities right now. And if you re-sign Kelce, or let's just say you clarify that Kelce is going to be here in 2023, it again gives you some clarity going forward on some of the other moves. Number 5, we get into number 5 in our order of 1 to 10. You need to sign CJ Gardner-Johnson. He is your number 1 free agent priority. They said that they're going to. Obviously, you have till March 7th to franchise tag him if you want to go ahead and just pay him a 1-year, basically max contract to play the safety position. That's not ideal. You'd rather get him on a long-term deal, and I think they will get this done, but this will be number 5, right? As you free up money with the Jalen Hurts restructuring or extension, you restructure the contract, it's clarity on Kelce, then you go to free agent priority number 1, that's internally, and that is going to be CJ Gardner-Johnson. Get that done, because all he did was ball out last year, and all he did was prove he's one of the best safeties in the National Football League. Reward players when they ball out. Howie's been done a very good job of doing that. I think we see a restructuring of CJ Gardner-Johnson with the extension happening very soon. Now, number 6, I've kind of made it a little bit broad here. It's sign the other free agents. I, again, did a full free agent breakdown, a full tier list showing you which players I would keep, which players I might keep, which players I definitely would not keep. And so we talk about players like Javon Hargrave here. Can you afford him? You'd like to. What about TJ Edwards? Do you want to keep him? Boston Scott. What do you do about James Bradbury? All of these will affect some of the other aspects of this list here, but he will, and he being Howie Roseman, will re-sign some more people, and the question is which one? After you get your most important one, and that is CJ Gardner-Johnson, then with the remaining money that you're comfortable spending on internal free agents, instead of looking externally, you go ahead and get those guys re-signed. Again, I have names that I would keep. I would keep TJ Edwards. I would keep Boston Scott. I would try to keep Javon Hargrave. And I have names that I would maybe keep, like Brandon Graham, for instance, possibly on a 1-year, little bit cheaper, veteran-friendly deal. But you got to figure out the other internal free agents, and then you get into addressing what remaining needs and remaining holes are left in free agency, in the draft, and obviously at the NFL, or once the NFL new league year starts via trades. Now, let's just say that they don't go ahead and re-sign some of these skill position players, just sort of really position players overall. I think number 7 on our list is address cornerback. After you get all these things done, if you have not gone ahead and re-signed James Bradbury, you need to address the cornerback spot. Now, that could be in free agency. That could be, saying Zach McPherson is ready to go as the number 2 cornerback opposite of Darius Slay, or you use number 10 overall to take a cornerback, whether it's Witherspoon or Joey Porter Jr. or somebody else there in the first round. Cornerback, to me, is going to be the Eagles' biggest need heading into the draft unless they address it in free agency. You can make the argument it's defensive tackle. I do think you drafted Jordan Davis for a reason. You elevated snap count from 20 snaps per game to 30 or 35 snaps per game, and you make him your true, maybe not every down defensive tackle, but pretty darn close to every down defensive tackle. Pair him with Milton Williams, maybe a rookie at number 30 or number 10, and your defensive line is pretty much set. So as we keep going through this list, I think it's corner first, then you move into number 8, and that is running back. Running back is going to be important this offseason. And again, maybe they already addressed this when they sign other free agents, which would possibly be, Miles Sanders, or they want to go Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell and draft somebody. They do need to make sure they have another back alongside Kenny Gainwell. Now, I have championed Bijan Robinson. I've championed trading for Dalvin Cook, but signing him on a, much cheaper restructured contract. I've championed taking, Zach or Charbonnet, I think the running back out of UCLA, or the one out of Texas A&M, taking a running back in the 3rd round, whoever you want, as all options here. But I also think Miles Sanders is probably the best, easiest way to just re-sign him. He's comfortable in the offense, and he had a 1,000-yard year despite being a little bit unproductive towards the second half of the season. Address the running back spot. That is very, very important. Next is addressing the wide receiver 3 position, and a lot of you guys will comment down below talking about, oh, Robert Woods is available. That's great, but it's not a priority right now. Sure, cutting Quez Watkins is a priority, and maybe re-signing Zach Pascal to be wide receiver 4 is also a priority, but wide receiver 3 is number 9 on my list here because it's not that important, right? Wide receiver 3 is not going to have more than 50 catches in a year because we have guys named Devontae Smith, obviously A.J. Brown, and even tight end Dallas Goedert, which would make a ton of sense as being one of your primary pass catchers. So it makes the list, but it's not that important. We need to kind of prioritize where we put these things. That's hence why it's down there at number 9. Now, the final person on this list, or I should say the final need on this list or priority, is at 10, and that is punter. I do think punter is somewhat of a priority this season. Now, do punters win you games? No, but you can also lose games due to field position. You make the argument that punting in the Super Bowl was absolutely horrific by Aaron Sipos, and while Brett Kern filled in horribly, you got to decide between either Sipos or somebody else. I think Philadelphia goes out and looks for the best free agent punter is available. Maybe it drafts someone in the 7th round. I don't know. You've got to address the punter spot. It's not that big of a need, hence why it's down there at number 10, but still, it went ahead and made my list. Now, when we get into a bonus, I want to throw one more at you here. It is backup quarterback, and I've seen backup quarterback mentioned a little bit this offseason as being a priority for Philadelphia, but it's not that big of a priority, right? The idea is that Jalen Hurts is going to get a massive contract. He's your starter for the next 10 years. Now, you'd like to have somebody waiting in the wings in case Hurts has a shoulder injury like he did this season, and while Gardner Minshew, I think, is a great option, maybe you go to the draft in the later rounds and take a very interesting project in the same mold as Jalen Hurts. That way you can have a Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley type situation that the Baltimore Ravens have had over the past couple of seasons. Huntley is never going to be better than Lamar Jackson, but he can at least fill in and win a couple of games, which we know Howie Roseman finds very, very key with quarterbacks the past couple of years, because seemingly every single Philadelphia quarterback does get injured at some point, even if it is for just a couple of weeks. And so it's not in the top 10, but it definitely needs to be something Philadelphia addresses at some point this offseason. So I'm curious where you guys would go with this list. I think the coordinators are number 1. You've got to figure this thing out. It's crazy they've not figured out their coordinators. I think Hurts is number 2, not only to show your absolute love, full trust, and support in Jalen Hurts, but you also need to free up some money going forward, and restructuring Jalen Hurts will give you some more money for 2023. Next is the restructuring of the rest of the contracts. Lane Johnson, Darius Slay. Give me money to spend on internal guys like CJ Gardner-Johnson, but also external guys in case there are some names out there that maybe you'd like to take a swing at, like, I don't know, a Jesse Bates or a cheaper defensive tackle or maybe a linebacker or a wide receiver 3. Give me money to do so. We got to get those contracts restructured ASAP. Number 4 is clarity on Kelce. That one speaks for itself. No explanation there. And number 5 is sign your best internal free agent. That is CJ Gardner-Johnson. Get that deal done. CJ should be an Eagle for the rest of his career. 6, get the other free agents internally figured out, whether you want Edwards, whether you want Hargrave, whether you want Bradbury, whether you want Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox on a 1-year deal. I don't know. I gave you my list in previous shows. You can go back and find those. I'll link them, obviously, on this show as well. But sign the other free agents, and then go fill the rest of the holes in free agency, draft, and obviously with trades. You can do cornerback first, then I would do running back, then I would do wide receiver 3, and finally at number 10, I would address the punter spot, leaving us with one extra bonus, and that again is the backup quarterback. Did I miss something here? That's what I'm curious about, and that's the comments I want to see. What did I miss? Because I'm not perfect. I obviously can miss some things in terms of offseason needs, but we talked so much this week about sign this guy, trade for that guy, draft that person, and those are all good things we're continuing to do here in the Thomas Mott Show, but I want you to know my priority list and where I keep them and where I have them lie from 1 through 10, and hence why we went ahead and did this show on a Friday. Again, be sure to subscribe. Approaching 10,000 subs already. We're like 9,200. It's insane. Trying to grow as fast as possible, and obviously stay tuned for some pretty cool stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. Can't tell you what, but it's going to be exciting. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.